Many people's stories have tales about a trickster, that clever fellow full of natty notions, full of crafty schemes. Often he scores off all his slower and less intelligent friends. Sometimes he's too clever for his own good and comes a cropper. One of the African tricksters was the Togo hare, who went across to the North America and in the southern states became Brer Rabbit. From the south of Ghana, in the Ashanti region, the trickster is the spider, Kwaku Anansi, and he travelled to the West Indies. But this is a story of Spider told by the Mampruli in the north of Ghana. I got this one from Isahaku of Pabagu. This is my story, and it's a spider story. Mr. Spider decided to make a yam farm one year. He got all his family together and they hoed up the yam mounds. They cut up the seed yam and put a piece in each mound. They capped them off with leaves to stop the rain from washing the mound away. Everything went right. The rains came, there was sunshine. The young shoots came up and they put sticks in the top of the mounds for the shoots to grow up. And the vines grew and looked really healthy. And Spider realised he was going to have a mammoth crop of yams. Then he started to be worried. He started thinking, if I have all this food, then all my family are going to want bigger meals. And then all my neighbours are going to hear that I've got food and they'll drop in just about supper time and I'll have to feed them as well. Now, one of the things about Spider was he was enormously greedy. He didn't want to share, and he always wanted the biggest amount of any food that was going. So he came up with one of his knacky notions. A few days later he called his wife and his children and all his family together and said, "The farm's doing really well. I'm really proud of myself as the local champion farmer. So I want to make my last wishes understood. It may possibly be sometime that I will die. When I die, I don't want you to bury me in my room or in the courtyard or in the village. I want you to take me to the farm and bury me there. And as a memorial to my great prowess in providing food, I want you to bury with me a hoe and a knife and a cook pot, a mortar and a pestle and a bowl. All the things for growing and cooking food." They all said, "How silly, what a daft idea. Well, if you really want it, yes, we promise we will. You're not going to die soon anyway." And a couple of days later, Mr. Spider was looking weak and wobbly in the morning and decided he wasn't going to go to farm. He sat around all day on the shade porch in front of his house. The next day he couldn't even struggle out of his room, but lay on his mat all day, tossing and turning and groaning. And the third day, when he didn't come out, they looked in his room and there he was, lying cold and dead. His wife was weeping and heartbroken. All the family were wailing and mourning. They decided that they would have to do what he'd said he really wanted. So they took him to the farm and buried him there. And in memorial of his great prowess as a farmer and a provider of food, they put a marker by the grave, a hoe, a knife, a cook pot, a pestle and a mortar and bowls. They went away and left him. And a couple of days after that, if you'd happened to be there, you would have seen the pot that marked the middle of the grave be lifted up and a pair of eyes peer out from underneath. And then you'd see some long thin arms and legs coming out, and whoop, here comes Mr. Spider. And he takes up the hoe and goes off and hoes himself up some yams. And he takes the knife and he peels those yams and cuts them up. He takes the pot and cooks them. He takes the pestle and mortar and pounds them into fufu. He puts the fufu in his bowl and he sits there and gorges and gorges and gorges. And then he slipped back into his grave again. He would have been alright, but one day an old lady was going to a farm a bit further out in the same direction, and she was passing Spider's farm, and she heard a sort of scuffling noise, so she was scared. Somebody had been buried there, maybe it was ghosts. She got behind a tree and peeked out, and she saw the pot on top of the grave be lifted up, and a pair of eyes peek out, and then long thin arms and legs come out, and there was Spider, digging up his yams, peeling them, boiling them, pounding them, and stuffing his face with fufu. When it was safe, she snuck back to the village and went to Spider's wife. Spider's wife was weeping and mourning still, but the old lady says, "Your husband said that he was dead and we buried him, but he's not really dead." Spider's wife said, "What? Have I not suffered enough here? Am I weeping and mourning and my heart's broken for the death of my poor husband, and you go and tell these terrible lies? If somebody's not dead, would they have buried him? Didn't you see us bury him on his farm?" "All right," said the old lady. "Tomorrow you come with me and we'll see." So the next morning the old lady got up and came round to Spider's house and got Spider's wife to come with her, and went out to the farm and hid behind the tree. They waited and they watched, and then the pot on the top of the middle of the grave tipped up, and a pair of beady eyes peeked out, and then long arms and legs came out, and Spider was there, and he was just reaching for his hoe when his wife burst out from behind the tree and said, "Spider, you told us lies. You said that you were dead and you weren't dead. What do you mean by it? I can see what it is. You wanted to eat all the food by yourself. You didn't want to share it with the rest of us." And Spider was so ashamed he scuttled off to a nearby nulliga tree and wriggled in between the bark and the trunk, and he dug away little tunnels in the wood. And if you prise open the bark of a nulliga tree, to this very day you can see those tunnels in the wood, and you may find Mr. Spider lurking inside.